On behalf of Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies, I, Kiran Muthar, welcome you to today's online conference about economic impact of COVID-19 on India and its handling. FIDS is a US-based policy think tank focusing on US-India relations, India and diaspora-related policy matters. Today, we are very fortunate to have an eminent speaker with us, Mr. Deepak Karanjikar. Deepak ji has a multifaceted career profile. Deepak ji is a renowned management consultant, proficient writer, socio-economic expert, international project management adept, and a profound orator. Deepak ji has globally lived in 6 countries and visited 50 plus countries in the entire tenure of 30 plus years. He is an experienced senior level management and business consultant with a well diversified working background spectrum. He has led globally cross functional teams and visited globe several times for Europe, Singapore, Australia, and USA. Over to you, Deepak ji.
So I'll go quickly to start with the entire epidemic. We are all hearing every day for last 50 days, all this. But I just wanted to put some economic dimension to it. One thing is sure that this pandemic has really exposed decade worth of swindling and aggressive accounting all over the world. That is a one economic perspective of that. The coronavirus could cost global economy 3.1 trillion. India is losing $4 billion a day for the lockdown period. And you take the lockdown period as say 50 days as we stand now, it's already we lost 21 lakh crore of rupees. Loss means the opportunity loss, the cost loss, the otherwise GDP growth would have happened, that the loss. The G20 countries, they constitute to 74% of the world GDP, and their growth estimates are also very low. I think that I'm myself. It's 2.2, minus 2.2% is their estimate. Then the Western Europe GDP, its estimate is minus 6%. US GDP will be down by minus 2.8%. China GDP will be plus 1%. China, remember, China was at 6.6% GDP growth. India will go down the positive side, but it's 2.2%. These are the various economic crises we faced from 1995 till today, 25 years. I tried to put where that, and here where the corona stands at the 2% thing, but that is why it is going down. This is a data of April, and it has progressed a lot after that. There is an expected decline in the global merchandise, which is directly connected to us. That is how it stands. The Asia stands, Asia export, Asia import, all that stands here is optimistic scenario, and the pessimistic is minus 35% for Asia, and Asia exports are also same as Asia imports. This is the data of the IMF World data consolidation. Economic forecast degraded for 2020. The world is, as I said, US, all the numbers I discussed, I just wanted to show this chart so that you know. Now, what are the post-pandemic scenarios? I just wanted to come down from 50,000 feet to the India and then the future path. I'll just quickly review this. See, these statements are made with some study. US losing its position for global impact power, and EU is losing its relevance as a united global player. EU countries already started saying that EU is not helping us as a protection cover. The world economic focus will be now permanently shifted to Asia. Of course, it got little bit shifted after 9/11. It is now permanently shifted, and the news is China has lost the trust. Asia only has two players, China and India. So the new global political economic order will be evolved. Economic isolation from US and Europe will significantly change China's role in global supply chain. That's a very big for coming for China. You cannot have a trade agreement between a democracy and dictatorship, and world will always choose democracy or dictatorship. And China, as we all know, it's a dictatorship country. For India, the golden chance after 1991 for economic rejuvenation, the factors like stable government, inclination towards India, and mostly the infrastructural condition are best first time in 5 decades. 91, we hold the finger of services because we did not have any manufacturing facilities or infrastructure as such. Pandemic, what corona changed around us, around the world on the economic forum? WTO charter will end. You know, WTO is already having a crisis of a dispute settlement mechanism, which is not agreed by even China and India today. And now the idea of World Trade Organization is not a future idea. It might not stay. The era of free and open trade may be at end. The future may be characterized by gated globalization. The economic relationship will have to be based on the political trust. This is very important shift in last 50 years. The India's political familiarity with large trading blocs like US, EU and Japan make it far more secure economic partner than China. EU has labeled China in a systematic economic rival. Trump administration regrets made in China. The China has a document of made in China policy 2025 because China is also completing 75 years and you know what they are trying to do. So, and it threatens to terminate trade deal if China does not honor. This is yesterday's comment which Trump has given interview to Fox News. Japan is diversifying its supply chain away from the Middle Kingdom. Of course, when I say that China will be at corner, I'm trying to tell that it will be overnight change because China accounts to 17% of global GDP these days. If 1% of point drop in China's growth would take 0.2% of global growth. So China has a very big impact on supply chain till today. Pandemic, what in generally then I will come to India. Before coming to, we need to understand what India is. The humans are social animals, so not accustomed to being socially distanced, but we are going to that world now. The social distancing will be a norm going forward. The virtual economy would grow. Maximum government and maximum governance, both will be at maximum because it will be a digital economy. Electronic voting is maybe a norm and parliaments may go virtual in future. Telemedicine will prosper. Cyber cell space issues will exponentially grow. And India really, I mean, when I say that there is a advantage to India, this where we stand at ages where the cyber cell space issues will definitely hit us because we are not very well prepared by the law. The trilemma I always put as in three things: that healthy economy, medically healthy society, and healthy democracy. You cannot have all three at the same time. You can only have two. That's the trilemma, like they say dilemma. That's the trilemma we are facing in now. Now, how India fights, where India stands on this corona fight. Day 50 of lockdown status, 14 May. Total cases cross 75,000 cases. Death toll is, this you all know this diagram, but I just want to put it in perspective because it matters for the business. Death toll is 2,415. Recovery rate, which is very important to understand, is 32%. That means out of 75,000, at least 24,813 people have recovered, which is the best in the world. Rate of reproduction of this virus, that also came down significantly, which is a big news. March 27 to April 6, pardon that spelling mistake, April 6, it was 1.83, and April 13 to May 10, it has come down to 1.23. If it comes to 1, that means the potency of COVID-19 goes down. That's the pandemic experts say. There is no unusual spike in new cases. 4 states are contributing 67% of the cases in India right now as we talk. Maharashtra, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Delhi. Maharashtra fatality rate is 3.7. Gujarat is 6.03 highest among these 4. Tamil Nadu is 0.6 and Delhi is 1.2. Delhi used to have 4.6. It has come down to 1.12 in last 25 days.
We can't hear you.
Sorry. Any question? I think we put the question at the last, right? The stimulus packages, as we understood, Prime Minister Modi has declared 20 lakh crore stimulus package for the economy, including the budgetary provisions. India stands here comparing to the world. Japan has given 21% of their GDP. US has given 13%, Sweden 12%, Germany we stand at 10%. France, Spain, Italy, UK, China, they are all, China is very less as you 3.8. They have to keep less because their numbers are doubtful. And what numbers they have given as the death and all that, they go in line with, they have to keep that. Otherwise, that will be suspected. So now the package has come, which Prime Minister Modi has rightly pointed out, it's Atmanirbhar. What is his vision? And this is where the impact is going to happen. First time ever, Indian Prime Minister has called as an official Prime Minister stand on Atmanirbhar. Atmanirbhar is self-reliant India, and they have announced lot of things on. They say 5 pillars of Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is self-reliant India: economy, infrastructure, system, vibrant demography, and demand. And all these parameters he has covered while putting the 20 lakhs crore package. Special economic comprehensive package, as I said, 10% of GDP, 20 lakh crore. Package to cater various sections, including cottage industry, MSME, labor, middle class, industry, among others. And why they are giving thrust on MSME and SMEs, I will come to that data in a minute. Bold reforms across sectors will drive the country's push. India has opened, and it will come on the slide, but India has opened various sectors for foreign direct investment, which will be production will be done in India. And what important thing he said, it is time to become vocal for our local products and make them global. There is a pinch everyone has outside that we do not have any product sold in everywhere in the world mall which is made in India other than some clothes. But that is what Prime Minister is trying to say now. That's the focus of the government. How and why we did best in COVID-19? Some people always say, a lot of time I have spoken last 50 days, I have spoken at least 15 times on this. A lot of people ask question, why you are saying we are less? Because we are not testing. See, there is a reason. Testing, according to the ratio you take, the number of tests done and the infections, that is worldwide, that ratio is not very different than any other country. In ratio, I'm trying to say. See, India is a society of exchange, not transaction. It's a trust community structure, family linkage, and social coherence is a way of life. Why I'm saying this, not because I'm talking philosophical, because the entire Atmanirbhar self-reliant package considered this as the pillars. These are the, what you call a bunyad of that economy thing. Giving is the base and charity is not an event in India. Even in demonetization, and now with COVID-19, we are managed due to structure of our society and the familism, the word I am trying to use now is called familism. Socialism, capitalism, capitalism against. Now the familism is the word which will definitely save us. We are not bunch of individuals, we are family as a society. So the credit and help works differently in India. During COVID-19 things are even working effectively to do society structure and interdependent trust. You will be surprised to know that the most safer part of India are the rural sector. Every village, we are how many? 713 districts and 6,87,000 villages. Out of that, say 500 maybe cities, 500, 600 maybe. But all the other things are villages and they are very, very low infections. The world is going on a protective mode, so there is nothing wrong in going Atmanirbhar way. This is not a Swadeshi. People started commenting, but there is definitely everybody is going on a protection mode. So there is nothing wrong. What we are doing is right. Change situation impact on India. Paradigms of multilateralism is over and intertrade mutual compatible relationship and political relationship, as I said, will be together now best for India. We are handling crisis better, as I said. India united after independence with 3 times in size. During independence, we were at 42 crores. Now it's 135 crore, and we are united for the first time after independence against some crisis. And PM definitely made it a mass movement. Whatever he has done twice, the event he was not doing at the event. People, try to criticize him, but that he is really uniting India, which Mahatma Gandhi also did once upon a time. Rural population is smarter, as I said, and rearrangement of Indian financial structure. I'm coming to this on a slide. Why I'm saying rearrangement they are doing and why it is necessary. For Indian people, economy and people are interdependent in a big way. We cannot take care of economy and forget about people because our people demography is very different. Currently, 19 million people are out of the job. And if you see this data, then you will understand why that package is made in that particular way. International Labour Organization say 400 million, 10 million, 100 million more than the American population. Indians would go below poverty line because of this pandemic. COVID-19 has changed economy, social system, consumer behavior. Regulators have steps in and all that changes are happening, which we are all seeing. Now, India's placement. India is the world's 5th largest economy. I just want you to understand where we are placed as a country to deal with this economically also. We have the abundant labor force, average 4 lakhs laborers, either semi-skilled or unskilled in some cases, come on the street every day. The median age is 27 and around 900 million working age population. This is the only country in the world. Ease of doing business, ranking improved drastically from 142 to 76. This is World Economic Forum ranking. India is emerging as an alternative investment destination for US companies. Japan earmarked, 243 billion yen for its economic support package to help manufacturers shifting production out of China. Korea is encouraging the firms to ship to China. According to UNDP report, India's working age population of 1.14 billion with rising urbanization and populating middle class to the tune of 300 million by 2025, creating a huge domestic market. So it is not only India is depending on outside. India is also have a huge domestic market to serve, and that's the best situation for any country to be in. The Prime Minister had a big meeting on 30th April. According to, see, there were efforts were going on for Corona, for the lockdown period, for negotiating with Chief Minister, for doing a lot of, tightening the norms of lockdowns. All that he was doing. At the same time, he had a meeting on 30th April. Before that, the 4 ministries have prepared a charter. And in that meeting, what he discussed on the strategy to attract FDI, particularly foreign firms waiting to move out of India. He kicked off the process of identifying and developing 4.6 lakh hectares of land, including 1.1 lakh hectare of existing land in industrial areas. India right now, most of you may not know, India has a satellite map of India, which government lands are where, which lands are fertile, which are not. All that is now on a satellite map with Prime Minister or with the Ministry of Revenue in India, city development. The redesign and revamp the SEZ and SPZ policies. They are already done for better performance. Define fiscal incentives in the form of preferential tax rates, tax holidays, which are in order to attract foreign firms. He decided new manufacturing companies that corporate tax will be 17%, which is the lowest in South Asia. And with this GST, this would be a best place for a manufacturing hub of the world. Yesterday, it was announced as the 20 lakh crore package stimulants paved the way of private players in coal, minerals, defense, aviation, atomic energy, and even space sector. Defense, India has, it is coming at the last point, India has announced a de-Indianization policy of military imports. There is a list prepared year by year, which year, how many items they want to take it to domestic manufacturing, how many items they want to indigenize rather than importing. So the entrepreneurs all around the world, the entrepreneurs affiliated to India all around the world, this is the best chance to get in touch with the Commerce Ministry, because there is a list they will be putting on website in a week's time. The space sector, first time ever we are doing the complete opening for the private players, which is, and all this private player opening will be based in India. So you will see the jump. We are creating now a country specific desk. What Japan needs, how many Japan industries were linked to China, so how much export they are bringing back to their country, and they are allowing it to go to India or some South Asian countries. To cater those specific needs, we have created a desk for Japan and Korea already, and for other European countries, as European Union is in discussion with government of India, they will be opening that. Engage a few state governments for work proactively. India has right now engaged 6 states governments very effectively. Their ministers about the land allocation, about the one window policy and everything. The reduction in documents for export imports has come down from 11 to 3. There used to be 11 documents to be processed, now it's only 3. The insolvency bankruptcy code we already implemented, that is going to help here. So what is the result of all this? These efforts, what are the result has come? 1,000 plus, actually 1,013 foreign firms are planning to ship manufacturing, and they are in talk with the authorities. Prime Minister has set 6 task force for various industry, and the industry minister, commerce minister, and Mr. Gadkari as a MSME minister, there are collaboration possibilities also they are checking. And those task force are assigned this work. 300 actively pursuing production plans in mobiles, electronics, medical devices. This you must notice, because these are the areas which we are definitely going to get the active production and manufacturing in India. Government is making all-out attempt to hard sell India as a manufacturing hub. Cost difference between India and Southeast Asia is 10 to 12%. Pharma and high-end electronics will see the quantum jump. And why I'm saying this? Because for the pharma, the active participant ingredients, API, what they call it, even for US, 96% of the US medicines, API comes from China. For India, 66% of the medicines manufactured in India, though we are also a big supplier of generic medicine from India to the world, our APIs for that medicine, active participant ingredients, they come from China. So China Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesperson made a statement in between that if America wants to trade with China, then one day will happen. You will be flown through Corona Sea because we will stop your medicine supply. That was a very aggressive statement made because that's the reality of the thing. China is very heavy on the API, so India is giving full concentration on pharma. Most of the pharma giants, they have been said that they have been given all concessions to get this API production in India. India amended foreign direct investment. See, this is the first time India has done such thing after 1991. Because before 1991, there was no FDI issue. But after in last 29 years, first time, government of India officially put up FDI rules which has prevented China's capital from taking over distressed business in India. That sub-clause of this rule is also says that if China company is moving in partnership with Vietnam or Philippines or some other South Asian country, if China company has stakes in that company will also be allowed to take over any distressed business in India, which is a very big type. Very, it's globalization we all talked about. This is a protectionism age and India is doing the right thing with courage. Why Atmanirbhar is required? Why people will ask question, why this Atmanirbhar? Because as I mentioned that India, see the global financial system is a constraint to India and we realize that. Not that we realized yesterday or we realized after Corona, we are realizing that, but such process take time. 3% fiscal deficit was sometime European Union agreed this, but how this become an economic norm, no one can explain even today. Our economists and strategists were not thinking so far. For India, we all the time copy pasted Western theories which are failing every now and then in their own countries and which is definitely failing, which will not work in India because this model which is working all over the world will be a misfit for the 1/6 of the world populated country like India. Stock market, in India, stock market listed companies only contributes 5 to 6% of our GDP. And the unlisted companies, the MSME sector, unorganized sector, that contributes 50% of our GDP and 80% of employment. That's why this government, for the first time, has given what you call a huge benefits to MSME because that is where the India resides. That is where the India comes from. The GDP growth comes from. We are a bank-driven economy. We are not a market-driven economy. That we need to all understand. We cannot have measures. We cannot depend on our growth based on the stock market index because we are a bank-driven economy. We need to give credit to people. We need to shift the gear, which this policy will shift now. India has total 30 crore migrants. Remember, like any person leaving his hometown is a migrant. So noted migrants based on the Russian card and other data, 30 crore migrants, like population of US. But state to states are only 4 crore. Like from this state to that state, people have gone those 4 crore. And out of the 4 crores, few lakhs, 39 lakhs migrants are going back home due to Corona. So whoever is trying to make a point that people are going back, people will not come back, labor forces, it is not so. Try to understand these are the numbers. The numbers you have to see in perspective. It is not a political game. It is a data. Data you cannot argue. As they say, in God we believe, everybody else bring data. This is data. Post-COVID-19, there will be changes at the top, and that is the elite group of the business executives will be a huge hit. And I will be telling you this pyramid, the labor, the lower part of the pyramid will not have as big a hit as you are thinking. Right now, they are getting the hit because of the work has stopped, because of the lockdown. Lockdown is not going to stay forever. Today, global situation supporting Atmanirbhar package also. You see that there is a very interesting perspective to look at. The $500 billion worth of business production and export left China. The Asia Equity Division of the Credit Suisse report says 33 out of that 33% of the capital goods and heavy engineering industries already leaving China to come to India. These are the companies which I'm saying 1,000 plus and 300 already pursuing. It is of the data of that. 14% of consumer durable industry will move to India. Why I put this data? For my friends in US who want to do business with India, who want to put some plan in India, who are entrepreneurs here and want to have some connection, this is the right time to get connected. This is the right time for India and for you also to get connected. 18% of technical hardware production, particularly cell phones, will move to India. A data point I will share, India has done a phenomenal job in cell phone production. 2013, we were importing 25 crore cell phones. Today, we import nil and we export 5 crore cell phone today per year. Try to understand how the industries are changing and how the things change. Now the MSME, the biggest things government did is they have changed the definition of MSME. You see, these are the micro, and I will send this data to you if you want to see. Investment minus 25 lakh, the small 5 crore it was, and then revise is so much. It is jump, it's very quantum jump from 5 crore to 2 crore to 10 crore and 5 crore to 50 crore jump, which is that. So by changing the definition, all the policy benefits will come back to these companies. Will come back to these companies. The MSME sector will grow because government understood with the data that they are employing 80% of Indian workforce. So whatever goes to them and farming, India will change its thing. There are a lot of things have been done for people. What people saying there is no money in the pocket of people naturally. So government has done a lot of things. The cash reserve ratio, CRR, Reserve Bank, what is the deposits in the Reserve Bank and the other banks? It has created 1,37,000 crore. That ratio has been changed so that the liquidity is available worth amount to the people. Increase the bank limit for borrowing overnight under the marginal standing. That is also 1.36 lakh thousand crore of liquidity it has given. Moratorium of the 3 months of payment of installments and payment of invest working capital facilities in respect of all term loans. Whatever term loans people have taken, government has given 3 months moratorium they have done, not to be given 3 months. And they may extend it to further also. 5 crore worker register under Employee Provident Fund. This is the first time happening such a huge number of workers getting employed to under employee EPF so that they will get the benefit and they will with a non-refundable advance, 75%, 3 months of their wages they will get, because that will give money in their hand. And there are limit of collateral fee and lending to increase from rupees 10 to 20 lakhs for women. Self-help group, there are the bachat, what they call bachat groups are there, and the small supporting the households. There are 6.85 crore households will get some money with that. That is the biggest reform as far as money in the people's pocket. What is done so far in 3 lakh crore collateral free automatic loans for business. This is a very big step. 2 lakhs MSMEs are likely to benefit. 20,000 crore subordinate debts for MSMEs. We have less time, so I can go on each and every line. But I think you can find that on web, or if somebody has a question, you can send me an email and I'll explain to you. 50,000 crore equity infusion through MSME funds of funds. See, MSME was very big way. It was stressed out due to COVID, because they have been requested to give payment to their workers. The supply chain has stopped because of, before this, the automobile and real estate there was a big slowdown. Automobile slowdown was because of the seizing of the business. Car manufacturers with greed have manufactured so many cars. 31% of dealers got bankrupted because of that, and the whole eco chain, supply chain of the car, automobile, that also got very much distressed, and most of the units of that chain was MSMEs. So MSMEs have been very crunch of money or credit. That's why a lot of things are given to them. And as I said, 80% of workforce work there. 2,500 crore EPF support to the businessman, 30,000 crore liquidity facility for this non-banking finance corporations, and this thing, 45,000 crore partially credit guarantee scheme, non-banking finance corporations, and 90,000 crore liquidity injection to DISCOM. DISCOM are the power companies, power distribution companies. For them, a lot of bills are pending with the state government. People are not paid because of farmers have not paid. All that they have given the liquidity injection to them. The emergency credit line for business MSME for banks, non-banking finance up to 20% of the entire outstanding credit as of 29th February. So these borrowers will up to 25 crore outstanding and rupees 100 crore turnover eligible for this. This covers the max 70% of the MSME business, between 25 crore to 100 crore. Loans to have 4-year tenure with moratorium of 12 months on principal repayment and interest to be capped. 100% credit guarantee covers to banks and non-banking finance corporations on principal and interest. Scheme can be availed from 31st October. No guarantee fee, no fresh collateral. See, the collateral is a big issue in India, as we know, because people do not have anything to give collateral. The people are the small scale business, medium scale business, they are dealing with their day-to-day issue. They don't have that collateral to give. 45 lakh units can resume business activity and safeguarded. The global, this is another thing which is very important because a lot of industries have this. The government used to give tenders to companies, and a lot of foreign participants were there. They were participating in those tenders up to 200 crore. Government at this time banned any foreign company to participate in that tender. Only domestic company will be able to, they will able to quote, or they will able to participate in those tendering process for 200 crore, and this limit may go up. It might go to 400 crore depending on how many people are taking benefits. So whatever right now is going on in India, that a lot of people are getting, there will be a, banks are telling people or MSME and SMEs that you can participate, as government is spending huge money on the national infrastructure, and a lot of government contracts will be thrown now. So during that, these small scale and middle scale companies can take benefit, including contractors. The non-banking finance corporation, housing finance companies, microfinance institute like Bachat Guts, I told you, with low credit rating requires liquidity to fresh, which that's what government has done that. The power distribution company Discom, I said, 97 crore already explained to you. Extension up to 6 months without cases to contract for any contractor working for Indian Railways, road transport, highways, central public works department, PWDs. They have been given extension of up to 6 months without any cost to them, because they don't have to, they got extension for 6 months for getting their things clear. So there is no issue because the work is stopped. This is in nutshell I have as a presentation, and I think I know it is 37 minutes, right? We started, so I have 7 minutes. So what I'm trying to say, 3 points very clearly. The government has a very clear focus on addressing the issues related to 80% of the population. Government may not do a lot of things for all the people. It is not possible. If you understand India's demography, it's a huge country. You know how many festivals have gone from February till now? All religious festivals, usually from Holi to Ramjan Eid to all kind of festivals, they have gone through Good Friday and all that. And people have really maintained that integrity with the Corona government guidelines. So majority of the people in India, they are following government guidelines. They are getting benefited with them. Definitely there, people are making politics and people are making comment. I don't much care for that, because they are the people who are making these kind of allegations. They are really cut from the ground realities. Like there were questions. Question came to me, so I'm saying, don't get by the media news that people are very distressed in India. They are not at all. You will not believe. I was having a call with rural people, and several villages. They said we have closed our roads by putting trees on the road. Nobody person from other village is allowed to enter our village. So these are the people are. That's why I said Mr. Modi has made a mass movement and taking advantage of distress on China and taking advantage of global supply chain impact. They have definitely made a point that how the government will function. Government is unfolding its all way to ease the business slowly and with a specifically related to people. Today they have announced the complete. Yesterday, Sitharaman announced that the complete investment payout, the complete foreign direct investment in all the sectors, including space sector and atomic sector also. So there are huge changes will happen. A government is taking a decision that year by year I will stop imports from the military supplies from abroad is a big step. This is a country of scams of military imports. This is a country where lakhs and crores of rupees have gone in military scams. It is a very big step government has taken, and not they have just taken that they want to stop. They are developing indigenization as a plan. They have given a 3-year release plan. So all of you or some of you or your friends, they want to go to India and do some business. Defense, atomic and space sectors are the new things which are open for you. Defense sector has a limitation of 3 years. They want to indigenize the most of the things which we are importing. Defense budget is 3 lakh crore. And out of 3 lakh crore, 80% is import. Try to understand that. I'm saying purchases. I'm not saying defense expenditure. So that is completely coming to India. It's a big boost. Now, maybe with Corona, and it's irony, but I must say that in lighter vein, Corona has forced Indian people to follow Make in India timelines or Make in India steps. That's what I think which a Prime Minister seen vision 4 years back. Thank you very much. 40 minutes. Khanderao ji.
So Kiran,
Yes, so Khandelwalji, we do have around 8 to 9 questions in
Sure.
chat window.
Sure.
What we can do, Deepakji, I can give you, I can go through questions.
we can give the
Read
opportunity.
out for me, or
Okay.
let the person talk to me. No problem.
Yes, that is even interesting.
I
Okay.
can unmute them sequentially, but only thing
Okay.
that the question needs to be very brief.
Yes.
Question should not be a statement. So I think
Yeah.
we can go with the order. So
And please do not make, I'm just a humble request, please do not make question like, we don't believe this and all that, because that argument time I don't have. And I can individually discuss with you till cow comes home.
So Sridhar Talanki first.
Namaste
Sridhar ji,
Deepakji.
namaskar.
Namaste
Kaise
ji.
ho?
Good, very good. Very honored to listen to your whole presentation. I'm excited. My question is how to protect the jobs of the migrant workers, especially on the state to state and or within the country overall. Because when I see a lot of people are moving and they're really getting accidents and that kind of stuff, how to protect their health as well as the jobs.
See, the issue why people are moving basically, Sridharji, they are moving from mega cities like Mumbai and Delhi. Because living cost in that city is very huge. Since they don't have income, they have no other choice than moving. The moving chaos of people that we will not talk today, but now since the UP has identified as a big area of foreign investment. Big area as the companies are coming, the places are given, most of that out of that 5 lakh hectare land, most of the land in UP. Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu also. But those were the people who may not come back. The laborers will be now locally. So like 9/11 has changed our way of traveling. Now this will change the centralization of Indian businesses, which were centralized against the mega city, that will be distributed now. So the life will change definitely, and they will be definitely absorbed there. There will be huge demand. There is a national infrastructure plan coming with, $1 trillion what they are going to invest. Beside this, that plan is already there, which is a 10 years plan, for which also a lot of labor will be required. So I don't think there will be, now they should reach home safely. They should stay home safely. And once it opens, they will be having job maybe locally going forward. This migration phenomenon will stop now, as I believe.
So Kaushal Varshne, next question.
Namaste, Deepakji. I think my question is already answered because I was looking for decentralization of the
Correct. Exactly.
in terms of the end of the misery of the migrant worker, because it is really painful that
No, it is really, and I tell you, all this 5 lakh hectare land, it is not near any mega city.
Stuti Pandey.
Namaste, Deepakji. My question is, as per you, what are the top 3 sectors that India should focus on in order to support and supplement PM's call for Atmanirbharta?
Manufacturing, farming. We should not worry much about services. Though services has given us a lot of money so far, but services has created very big disparity in India, to be honest with you, because I was here for several years, and I was this side of the table also once upon a time. Farming and definitely manufacturing, and in manufacturing, all MSC, MSMEs, all those come, because that will really, I will tell you a data. Farming, 62% people directly, indirectly depend on farming, the entire population. GDP contribution 12%. Manufacturing, 22%, 23% people, percent of population depend on that. 17% is the contribution. And in services, 60% of the GDP contribution is so far, and the dependency was only 15% people population. So we have to go for the majority of population. That's what government is doing now.
Dr. Jhapra, please.
Namaskar, Deepaki, dhanyawad.
Namaskar. Kaise ho, sir?
It was wonderful, very enlightening and very revealing and very informative. But I think a lot of these assumptions have been done that President Trump is going to come in November and our relationship with US and India is going to stay as strong, and the US and China is not going to be as good. But I'm afraid if one of the Democrat president comes, with the chances I think less than 10% in my opinion, and we are working very hard, make sure that President Trump comes back, and as a matter of fact, our Congress also become Republican, which will be huge benefit to India, and we would love it. But your predictions may change if, especially the Democrats, going to favor China and not favor India, with especially with Modi.
No, I don't think anybody will favor China, sir. I'll tell you, I'm not saying overnight. It will take 2 years, 3 years minimum. But that shift will happen because the transparency is the issue. You cannot have country's currency at some artificial level for several years. You can't have a share market where government decide what to invest. That is what people are fed up with, to be honest. See, they have given a big carrot to European Union for that built initiative, because European contractors and European companies have been given huge contract for that build. But now the build is stuck everywhere because of local issues, including starting from POK. And if POK may be ours in few months, what will happen? I don't know with that build starting point. So I don't think that is. I see India, like C.K. Prahlad, I remember his one statement. You know, elephant takes time to dance. When it starts dancing, everybody has to vacate the stage. I think that time has come.
Sukhi Chahal.
Ji, namaskar, Deep.
Namaskar,
Thank you
Sukhi.
very much. Very informative session. My first question was, because I'm from Punjab, actually was related to what is there for the farmers in the 18 lakhs crore package. Since you already mentioned that one, already shed the light. My second question was actually, so even though Modi government is trying to do their best during this time, especially this crisis as the opportunity, how are we going to manage the red tape and the bureaucracy during this time?
You are very right, sir. See, bureaucracy is to be very honest with you, bureaucracy was only the biggest problem so far for implementation.
Exactly.
I will never say Manmohan Singh never had a vision. He always had a vision. Narasimha Rao always had a vision. Where they fall through crack is the implementation, which is bureaucracy. But now one significant change has happened, which you all must be knowing. There is a joint secretary in bureaucracy, it's a fulcrum point. Like joint secretary is from the bottom and top pyramid is the fulcrum point. It is a main post. There are 56 joint secretaries they have taken employed from they are IS people, the IS post. But they have taken 56 joint secretary from the public domain as subject matter experts. And that is changing the paradigms. So things will change, bureaucracy will be a definitely threat, but I think they understood it. That 100 days what he has given when he came second time in power, in that 100 days, there were direct made responsible there are a lot of bureaucrats got retired because of that. Direct made responsible for the progress topic. But he cannot do it in the public. He cannot say that I'm against this and that. That nobody can say.
Dinesh Nilaur.
Namaste, Deepak. Nice
Namaskar.
meeting you again. Yeah. So, two questions. Companies here are looking for alternative supply chain now. So we need a point person or a point industry point of contact where we can talk to them. Somebody whom we can, which are the areas, maybe it's in the website or something, but we need, because there is a huge, they need advisory role of how to move the supply chain from China to India. Okay.
So I think Gaurav is on call. Gaurav here.
Yeah.
Gaurav, are you on call?
Yes, Deepak ji.
So Gaurav ji, let us talk to him offline to Dinesh, and let us find out from Chauthai Wale and those people, and let us connect him to, because I think what I heard recently last week, since I am also here for 3 months, Suresh Prabhu has been given a responsibility to handle G20 country needs. So might be we can talk offline with Dinesh ji and we can get him connected to definitely some very high official there, including Suresh Prabhu.
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
Quickly, yeah. So this immediately offers have started coming to me for doing consulting on this. Second one is contract farming for NRIs. How they can invest in contract farming in NRI in certain areas where they can, no barriers, or how to do
that exactly. I will
process.
tell you. I will just keep this post pending till we have a call, me and Gaurav and the Chauthai Wale from Mumbai, from Delhi.
Okay.
And I'll get you connected. Don't worry. Just the action item for me and Gaurav.
Thank you very much.
Including Gaurav because he's coordinating. I know. That's why.
Mohan.
Hello, Deepak ji. Namaste.
Namaskar.
My question is about there's a lot of talk going on. The company is moving out of China and into India. And how fast Indian government is actually moving on that, because there would be a lot of Asian countries, they would be interested in luring those companies into their own countries.
Correct.
And if we lose the chance out of say thousands of companies moving out, if we don't get majority of them coming to India, we won't have much economic benefit.
No, you are very right. Actually, to be honest with you, from last year, March 2019, China has shifted some companies in Vietnam and Myanmar with the parent holding of Chinese company and some local company they are tied with. And they already shifted some portion there. So that is why government is not only dependent कि चाइना का घर खाली हो जाएगा फिर हम घर भरेंगे, ऐसा नहीं है, ये सोच नहीं है. The defense industry itself, Indianization, is a very huge step. That will provide a huge opportunity. And I think now tomorrow is the last day of Nirmala Sitharaman ji for relieving those details of that package. Once that is completed, I think somebody in finance, we will get in touch with you for you. And the speed will be very personally monitored by Prime Minister this time, because he has formed a task force under his, he's in charge of the task force himself. This person is working, in COVID times, 19 hours, 18 hours a day. And most of the hours per day is going to this or bringing that entire supply chain to India. It's not an easy thing. And I think we need to definitely, they will have a speed for that. Don't think it will go in an old fashioned way.
Yogi Chuk.
Khanderao, thank you. Deepak, what a really wonderful presentation. You've articulated wonderfully where India's advantage can be. My specific question is specific to 5G. The telecom 5G is basically a line in the sand that's being drawn with the United States and the European coalitions to put a check on China. How will India leverage this 5G minefield in order to accomplish what will lead it to the stability that it needs on the 5 points that you talked about, which Prime Minister Modi has made as a priority for India?
I think 5G, there is a separate task force working right now, which I know. And since I am not there in India, from here, whatever information I could get on the last call with Niti Aayog, I can share. Ambani also has been told to definitely look into this, because, there are two kind of things India has an issue with. One is if they want to get some new area like 5G, they need to have a huge investment, which government may not have funds diverted for such thing, like a Chinese government has. So they will definitely take some industry player into that. And the policy is already finalized. That's what I heard when 2 weeks before we had a call with Nitya for 5G. So let us see, let us wait. But I can specifically ask this question and get you details if you want, if you are interested in that.
Priya Kulkarni.
Namaste. Thank you for Namaste, Deepak ji. It was a wonderful presentation, and thank you, Khanderao ji, for the opportunity. My question is, does Government of India see balance between local and global? Because everything cannot be local. For example, science and technology, certain imports, or sharing science and technology. So do you give importance to that as well? And second question is labor reform. Is government is looking for a labor reform?
Definitely. See what happens, there is so much backlog that the global, particularly the global things, will not try to put them on the local immediately. We have a lot to finish in our plate. Basically, for farming and manufacturing, we have to do 100 things with the workforce we have. And if you know, there are some 4,000 labor laws has been already changed in last 6 years. The biggest issue with labor laws were British times, and they had all made them like a servant thing. The entrepreneurship was not an angle at all, and that's why India, ordinary person, as I always say in my any speech, that India is the only country in the world who gives missed call. And the reason for that, I say that we don't spend on research, we spend on utility. Aptitude is very different using technology. So most of the labor laws, they have changed because to give that encouragement to the innovation and using technology effectively. That's why I think those are also they are already changed. And I don't think we will touch some like even space research also we are at par with ISRO, at par with NASA in some areas. But we are not trying to do the research and everything in India right now. We have to feed 80 crore people first, their basic need. I don't think we will have that dilemma.
So I am not able to unmute Raghavendra. Kunal, Kiran, if you want to read his, no, now he's unmuted, I guess.
Dhanyavad, Kandiraoji. Deepakji, part of my question you had already answered in terms of why companies are relocating to Vietnam rather than coming to India.
Correct.
The other part of my question was about the ever-changing tax laws. The taxation for the NRI/overseas FDI investments have been constantly in the flux over the last 7 to 8 years. This is even before the NDA government came into power. And having heard about some FDI projects and having my father work as a consultant for some FDI projects, these tax laws are so changing and dynamic that given the fluctuation in the exchange rate as well as the tax laws, most cases, just limiting to real estate, the companies that have invested are actually pulling out in the loss or in the instability of the taxation regime. What has been done to address this in the long run?
I think right now they are working on the taxes, like as I said in my presentation, the corporate tax they have reduced drastically, because first the FDI there is a huge barrier for any FDI to come was the corporate tax. There was a huge barrier there was no insolvency code available. For a company to open in India, it used to take 3 years, and for closing a company, it used to take 4 years. So that was the iron in India because of various complicated laws. So they are working on tax laws as far as directly revenue stream is concerned. The beneficial related NR related tax laws, they will work later. That's what my guess is. Of course, if you want a specific NRI question, send it to me. I can get an answer from the department. But right now, corporate tax and with GST, they are making it first priority to manufacturing, beginning of manufacturing hub India. That's why I said 17% is the corporate tax, which is lowest in entire South Asia. So to make a tax lower than Vietnam, lower than Philippines, is not an easy thing to do for a country which is looking for money or investment, right?
Rajesh Rangnekar.
Hi Deepak ji. Thank
Namaskar.
you for this very informative session. You are indeed a multi-talented person. So great to see you again. Question I have is about your comment that rural India is smarter than the urban. And I just wanted to understand that a little better, also from a perspective that not just from economic one, but also in terms of potential loss of life or impact to health in the rural area versus urban areas.
See, the reason I said that, because anything which is coming as a new, the adoption, they are the most non-box people. They are out-of-box people. You will not believe me, my statement, because what we have an image of rural India is from our present times when we left India, or maybe from some newspapers and media reports. They, for the COVID process, rural India, you take a percentage, take district-wise, go to rural India, the percentage is even 1/4 of the urban population, even the infection rate. The precautionary measures, they don't have money as the urban people have, but the precautionary measures, they are different. There are two ways of, I will answer a little bit philosophically this, why rural. When there is a more struggle, you are very dynamic, you are very innovative. If there is a comfort zone, you are not. That's a simple difference. If I have a comfort zone in life, my entire innovation skills goes down. Innovation is inversely proportional to the comfort. And rural India, because of farming, because of rain-dependent farming, all this, they are struggling constantly. So they always find a new way to live good life. And that's why I'm very much hopeful. If the government is their job honestly for farming, rural India will surpass urban India. Bharat will surpass India.
Thank you very much.
Sharad Joshi used to say.
Thank you.
So, Kameshwarji, but you need to stop walking because your other sound is coming more louder than.
Kameshwarji, kahin chale mat jana, dur chalte chalte ruko.
No. Deepak ji, congratulations on your becoming grandfather. I don't know how many of the on the forum.
That's okay.
If I'm loud, you will stop me. I have 3-4 questions.
Please limit to one question. Kameshwarji, one question.
Time is the issue. Call time is the issue. You can ask me personally. You know me, so don't worry.
So you ask one question with whatever your best question, that would be the interest of others.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. That APAC or whatever, ASEAN countries, what is the working population in all the ASEAN 7 or 8 countries minus China? Because China is in some Asian lists and not in other lists like your Thailand, Vietnam, etc. What is the working age population there versus
See,
what we have in Bharat?
one thing I know, SAARC country population, China is not part of SAARC, is 1/5 of India's working population. SAARC
So
countries.
we have a very good, good, perfect.
And
Can
China,
I ask any more?
see, I will tell you one more thing about China. China, though is a developed country, a country with veto power, they always take in WTO benefit of developing country. That exactly Trump is talking about. That you cannot have cake and eat to it. Egg and, he is trying to say you are taking both advantages. So that is the issue. So China, that's why the trust is the issue. Go ahead. Second question not allowed.
Sunil Ganu.
Sunil ji, namaskar.
Hi, namaste. Actually, you
Sunil
did,
ji is a person.
you did already. Because I'm worried about that Vietnam is taking over lots of our businesses, and one of the
size nahi. Don't worry, size nahi.
Yeah, scale ka issue hai, definitely.
Scale
But still, I feel that private ports, non-availability and all, we lost some contracts because of those things. I think those focus will be there.
No, Sunil, remember one thing, Modi always had developed relationship with this Vietnam and these countries. Because Vietnam is, BrahMos they bought from us.
Yeah.
Regular supply for the defense cover is India's to Vietnam.
No, but China blocked our ONGC investment into Vietnam. That's South China Sea. A lot of issues are there.
South China Sea, China will have a lot of enemies to deal with other than us.
Right.
One of the persons sitting here who comes in power, it's a difficult game for China.
Ravindra Shukla.
Yeah, Deepak ji, thank you for a good session. My one quick question, this economic shift from China to India is not going to be easy. So who are the countries who are going to support China in case of a bigger conflict?
Russia will support China because they have a very big oil interest. There is a pipeline between China to Russia, oil pipeline. Their economies are very interdependent. But with COVID, but Russia is not an enemy to us. So, as I said, the focus shifted in 9/11 only to Asia, but now China grabbed the most. But now the trust is the issue. And China is already, when we stop FDI from China, what China said, China complained to WTO, saying that we are not following WTO. WTO answered China saying that you are not following several things of WTO. So WTO becoming redundant now. So with this new thing, whatever the government is so strong in India right now, you need a person, a leader who can make up some calls. You have to take it as call spade is spade. That is what he is doing, and that's what first time happening in last 4 decades. And that's why I think that it doesn't matter. I mean, who plays what? Must support. See, Japan will not support to China. Russia will support to China with support to India. US definitely will not support to China. European Union is already shouting at China. So who will, the consumption markets are here. And the supply chain customers are here. Which else country? SAARC has a population. They do not have that consumption. No, they do not have that much consumption appetite. So nothing to worry much about that.
Sunil Lerabali.
Yeah, this is Sunny of that. Quick question. The whole work environment is going to be transforming where we'll be working more and more from home, at least till we get a vaccine, which might be a year away.
Yes.
So as a result, companies are going to realize I don't need to hire somebody in expensive Bay Area or New York City.
Correct.
And so I can hire them in Alabama or Mexico or India someplace. So what do you see opportunities here without really threatening US jobs for India?
See, travel and logistic jobs are under huge threatening, definitely. Travel, hotel, tourism businesses will be completely, it will take years to come back again. And it may not come to today, pro-COVID corona level. But other businesses, definitely the style of working will change, and so the digital platforms will come. The digitization will add some more jobs also. Like that always happens. So I don't think it's a threat, it's a change. Like I said, 9/11 we changed the way we travel by air. This COVID will change the way we live.
Pranjali
no
Dani.
Person to person thing.
Pranjali Dani.
Namaste, Deepak ji.
Namaskar, Pranjali. How are you?
Good, Deepak ji. How are you doing?
Thank you. Good.
So the question is around labor law, Deepak ji.
Right.
With all these changes going on, before COVID, manufacturing companies used to shy away because of the stricter labor laws we have in India.
Correct.
So is there a plan, is there something in the pipeline which will change
Yeah.
that mentality and call more
If you remember my presentation, Pranjali, it said the Prime Minister vision has 4 things. And in the 4 thing, the economy, infrastructure, system. That system is a part of labor law.
Okay.
The way bureaucracy and labor laws or any, the what you call the statutory things works in India used to work, that will drastically change. That is the system. And that is the most difficult change. Government can bring $1 trillion from anywhere in the world. They cannot change the way bureaucracy functions. That's the most difficult part. But that is a priority. As I said, some changes already happened.
Okay.
Vinayak Fadnis.
Namaste, Deepak ji. I think my question is already answered, but I had a question regarding because of specific setup of the Maharashtra government as of now. Are we losing any opportunities coming from China to other states, and is there any specific
It is not.
strategy they have?
Maharashtra, we are not losing because there is a different government. Maharashtra, I think they are too much occupied in Corona. See, the government has changed. Number one, the government, unfortunately, the chief minister, he doesn't have much experience. He's not an administrative person. He's a good person, but the administration, the experience is different. And they got so much caught with Corona because of Mumbai and Pune, the cities. Mumbai is the worst. I mean, because of Mumbai, Maharashtra is in doldrums. And Mumbai, all energy is going there. So in that case, how much, see, PM will never leave Maharashtra alone because Mumbai is still whether they understand or not, PM definitely understand what Mumbai means to India. Mumbai is a very big, is a fulcrum for India's growth. So they will definitely do that. But this kind of open land allocation and all that thing, that will go to different states. That's what I feel. But some collaboration will happen in Maharashtra. Some logistic things will happen. That's why this Maharashtra government has to immediately push Samruddhi highway, because that is a huge logistical path plan on that highway side, 700 kilometers. Like Europe, the Autobahn has the all logistical, path. You must have seen that logistical hubs. They are planned in that Samruddhi highway. Maharashtra government should immediately kick off that work rather than engaged with dealing with Corona. Because there are 35 ministers. What I don't understand, what other minister I am not hearing what they are doing, to be honest.
So we are actually covered all the questions very timely. So this is very good. Just a few updates for our future. We the future programs in a few weeks, we will see that Lieutenant General Saeed Hasnain, who is currently Chancellor of Kashmir University, and he is also at the secretary level at the National Disaster Management Authority. So we'll be arranging his session. This is one, but we'll have a separate just for the US later on. The
Very
second
good.
is that Ram Madhavji, who is our BJP's one of the general secretary, and he's also one of the leading foreign expert affairs expert from India. Has been very active into think tank engagements, and he also is a director of India Foundation. Also has written a book on China. So we'll be having on the new global order post COVID, what we see from the India's perspective and the overall global settings. We'll also have a talk from Abhay Agarwal, who has written a book which is mostly Feeds may publish, which is on the Balochistan. So these are the 3 upcoming, and you will see more such efforts happening. We'll also engage in Washington DC a conference of think tank experts on specifically on China. Not mainly on the COVID particularly, but it is mostly on the after COVID, basically the whole engagement of China and from the international setting. So these are some upcoming topics.
So when are these, Gandharao ji, when are these happening?
So
Well, I'll
China,
be still here for a month, I think. till the flight starts.
Yeah, so these are in next first three are going to be in the, we are arranging weekly, so we'll see that in the three. But the China conference is going to be like a mostly Washington DC expert. So that is of course because of the settings, it is going to be a virtual one, but it is going to be in the first week of June.
Okay, so I can attend that night with your permission.
Sure, we'll have we'll have a selected list of attendees for that, and definitely we'll add to that. And there will be there is a China Institute from India, and others will be inviting to that. So Kiranji and Gauravji, handing over to you.
Kiranji, I'm sorry I forgot your name. Thanks for introduction, sir.
No problem. I'll hand over to Gauravji. Gauravji, you can continue.
All right, thank you. So officially, I will be doing the vote of thanks. We really appreciate Deepak Karanjikar for taking out time and really sharing really good pointers about how India handled the overall COVID-19 situation, which was really amazing. We have least number of deaths compared to other countries, and overall economic opportunities and overall mitigation plan. So thank you so much. We have been really trying to arrange your session in person for quite some time, but finally we had a Zoom call. So thanks for taking out time, and we look forward to hearing you in person whenever this shelter-in-place is taken out. And thanks to all the attendees who are present here. I know we learned a lot, and we can utilize certain pointers shared by Deepak ji in our conversations for influencing, and presenting positive image of India in the international market. With that,
thanks Khanderao-ji. He has done that.
Khanderao-ji,
he could arrange in very small time.
Khanderao-ji, last question: are you going to provide the recording of this session, because this was very, very important? And also, can you please do a little bit more often this kind of very, very informative session? Actually, because you guys work really hard, and me sitting at home actually feels like I was sitting in India. Actually, so talking to big panel over there. Actually, really,
I
really
think so we'll be doing weekly, as I said, and we have 6 actually our experts fellows like Lieutenant Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, then Commodore Ashok Bansal, then Professor Vijay Kaul, and Ambassador Viren Gupta. So they are all agreed. They are all on our actually fellows. So so they will be, once we cover these first 4 topics that we mentioned, then we will line up their talks. So you can expect that we can have a weekly or at least once in 2 weeks, but that's what we are working on, the logistic. But based on this experience, we should be able to regularize it. Also,
and anybody has a question, I have my numbers with Khanderao-ji, with Gaurav also, can send me questions if you have.
Also, if there are any topics that you would like to suggest and connect with some experts, subject matter experts, please feel free to connect, and we can go through the prioritization and enlisting them as well.
Yeah, I have a US-India exchange expert.
Okay, let's connect that. So everybody, I think thanks for joining. We have a lot of dignitaries. I saw BB was also full-time. He's a leading entrepreneur. Dr. Japraji, he also took time, has been full-time attending the call. So a lot of, I think it's calling Sukiji also has taken time out. I think it's going to be, we can give up advance information in future, so that we can see more people from the diverse background joining and participating. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the great session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepak ji.
If it's coordinators, if we can hang around for 5 minutes, we can just do the Priya, Pranjali, Kiran, Stuti. Can you be? Stuti is around, or she left?
I'll send a message in group.
Yeah, so see whether Stuti can. I think that Ravindra Shukla ji, please hang around, and yeah, Janmay ji, you can be also hang around. So Just I think Stuti, if you can bring back her. So we'll just do this regularizing call point of view, go through the feedback of this session, and I will stop the recording first.